Before we get started with the core board exercise program, I want to tell you about an extremely important warm-up. Now, we've put together some of the best stretches that we know to help you activate your core muscles. Before you work on core stability, as we've said before, you need core mobility. You need proprioception and awareness of the muscles throughout the hips, the trunk, and the core together. Now, what we're going to do is use some stretches that will get things that the other part of the workout doesn't. Maybe the shoulder stretch, maybe some trunk rotation stuff. It gives your body a chance to go through some of the range of motion you're going to use in the core board workout. First, I'm going to ask Steve to do a sideline rotation stretch. Now, I'm going to have him roll his body this way and just make sure that feels all right. Arms up above head or slightly greater than 90 degrees. Now, I'm going to have him extend the bottom leg straight out this way, like that. And come and roll your body here. Good. Now, as Steve is rolling this way to open up, most people use only the extensor muscles of the back and feel this stretch almost put them in a bind. What I'm going to have Steve doing, my command is press that ball down with your leg. So he's going to have to engage his adductors and then his abdominals, stabilize his core, and get his upper back moving at the same time. He's going to reach a point where this shoulder doesn't want to stretch out. Don't force this shoulder back. Think of reaching up and out, not backward. Now, let's engage the abdominals even more. Reach up and back, reach to the ceiling. As he reaches to the ceiling, almost push up into my hand, you can feel his abdominals engage and he almost gets a better rotation out of it. That's flexing on one side, extending on the other, combined for a rotation stretch. Push up, push up. Now he's going to do this to each side and come back out. And you can do them in repetitions or hold them for up to 15 or 30 seconds. Once again, head down, reach up and out, and engage the abs and push up. The whole time keeping pressure on that ball. With this arm in a relaxed position, Steve is also going to do an internal and external shoulder rotation stretch. I'm going to show you that from the other side. So let's get in this position facing the other way. Straighten this leg out. Pressure. Relax arm here. Okay? Now we're going to start with your arm in just a neutral position, and we're going to sweep down, roll palm, keep the forearm down, bend elbow, and come up behind your back. Good medial rotation stretch. Now he should have done the rotation stretch on this side prior to doing the shoulder stretch. So you always get the shoulder mobility after you get the trunk mobility. Come up and high, sweep back out, roll the palm, reach up and out, make the arm as long as possible, and reach on up, take it on up, keep it back as much. Now come down behind the head. Keep the forearm down the whole time. And back around. Now, I would suggest, before we talk about sets and reps or times for hold, look at the left-right difference. Inform the athlete of the left-right difference and have them work the most restricted side, the most restricted motions. We're going to do this for rotation mobility of the spine. Now, it's important that the athlete get a left-right appreciation of what they're doing as far as the rotation. We want the upper body relaxed, and as the knees rotate in one direction, we don't want the neck or shoulder to tighten up on the opposite side. Those shoulders have to stay flat. So if you can't get your knees all the way over, that's not the thing I'm worried about. I'm worried about keeping your shoulders flat the entire time. Now, the best way to keep your shoulders flat is not to hold them back. It's to keep your arms as long as possible in this position. Really widen the distance between the two fingertips. Think about the width, not holding them back, and they'll stay back automatically. Now, this is an excellent shoulder and upper back stretch as well, because I'm having to get retraction depression of this scapula, and I'm having to fire this rhomboid and lower trapezius to do this whole thing. So it's a good activation for the shoulders. Concentrate on keeping the shoulders and neck relaxed. If you can't make it all the way down, give the athlete a barrier that they can feel. Bump the ball and return, and you can do that on either side. Gym bag, basketball, whatever works. We go from this pattern to something that activates stability. And it's important to activate stability because once you've gotten equal left-right range of motion of the trunk or the core, you also want the core to know what we're going to do when we go into a stability or core board routine. Here's what I mean. Legs straight, point toes, Hold the legs up as much as possible. Now, it's going to be real easy for Steve to drop his legs that way because he's got more weight than he did when his knees were bent. However, I want to instruct it like this. This leg will go that way while the hips and pelvis remain flat. This leg will also go that way. So I need each hip independently, one abducting, one adducting, with the pelvis remaining flat on the floor. Bring them both up. I'm going to give him a little cue here. I'm going to slide my hand right under his back and have you drop your legs 6 inches to a foot, whatever it takes. Now here's another big mistake. As he drops his legs that way, he's going to come out of flexion of the hip. He's going to come out of flexion, go into extension right here. That's not what we want. As a matter of fact, if he's going to trace anything, it's almost going to be a smiley face. Here to here. Stay flat on me and go the opposite direction. Keep them up, keep them up, keep them up, and back. It's a very small movement. You're going to see people with the hip coming up all the time. You could use a towel roll, slide it under the hip, come back to me. Here. Now, a lot of times with the extra stress here, the shoulder may come up. Kicking in shoulder muscles to stabilize here is not a good idea. We've got to do it here. Abdominal hollowing, back flat, and come back. Now, sit back down. Now, we've done just a very basic warm-up, but this warm-up is something you may have not done before. A lot of hamstring stretching, a lot of quad stretching, a lot of shoulder stretching, but people don't do these rotational stretches, and that's the way the lower abdominals kick in anyway. Let me give you a bit of advice. If you don't have a good, comfortable toe touch, if you can't bend over and touch your toes, you don't need to be starting this yet. You need to work on that first. If you can't get at least a 2 on the squat in the movement screen, you need to get that first. You need to then add this mobility workout or this warm-up prior to the core board. It may seem like a waste of time, but it's going to make the core board stuff program your brain better because you're not going to be working around a restriction. Now, as far as the core board workout goes, we're going to show you individual exercises. You can do left-right workouts with more repetitions on your weaker or immobile side, or the side that the core board seems to show you where the biggest mistake is. Then we're going to show you a thing I think is very important and probably not very popular right now called a sequence of exercises. Using the core board as a specific feedback warm-up prior to or following a weight training or conditioning workout on the field. The sequence is very important because it's a moving stretch. It's taken from some of the stuff like yoga or even some martial arts warm-ups where you go from one mobility, stability move to another, and the transitions are as important as the exercises. So first look at the exercise techniques, then look at the transitions. Try them.